Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Mohammed Asad Bilal Fayaz and welcome to this final video of series Python for Everyone. I'm super excited because whatever we have learned so far, we'll try to implement this in this particular video. Now, you're free to choose any dataset you would like to work on, but I strongly urge you to follow this particular video where we'll go through from very scratch of getting a dataset and then finally implementing or getting some insight from that particular dataset using purely Python. Now, sounds exciting? Let's go. The dataset that I got it is from this Kaggle website. You're free to choose any dataset, but like I said, please go through this with me for the first time. So if you go on that particular website here, I'll add the link to the comment section as well. But this is the dataset that I'm working on. Now, an interesting thing about Kaggle is you can have a quick discussion or quick summary of the dataset itself. This is a dataset from some insurance company that contains some information about a customer, such as their age, their sex, female or male. We'll assume that everyone gives either male, female, and not other ones such as binary or prefer not to say. The BMI, their body mass index, that tells you whether you're underweight or overweight. The children, whether you have children, because that depends on how much insurance will that be, whether you smoke or not, what region you belong to, and finally their insurance cost. Now, a lot of things could be done on that particular data set, and the things that we will be doing is maybe finding out average of age, whether how many males and females are there, what is the average BMI, things like that, just so that we have an idea of how to work with a data set and get some insights into it. Now, another way, a boring method, is you just do that all in Excel or manually. But what's the point once you know Python and you can actually work on it? So what we'll do is we'll do all these kind of things in Python. Ready? Okay. So the first thing that you have to do is actually get an Excel file. Once you are on this particular website, you can simply download the Excel file here, right? Once you do that, you will see an Excel file is downloaded into your local system like here. Now, I want to create a folder where I have this particular Excel file that contains this information. Let's have a quick look what it is. It is basically age. It is basically the sex, male or female, their BMI in numbers, children, whether they contain children, 0 with no children, 1 with 1, and so on and so forth, whether they smoke or not, their region, and the charge the insurance company charge them for that particular insurance of that particular person. So for example, a person age 19 with a female age 19, BMI of 27.9, with no children, and she smokes, belonging to Southwest region, she is charged for $16,000. So this is how it is, so on and so forth, right? I want to actually analyze this data set or make some quick judgment or insights. Once you have done that, we'll proceed. So if you want some time, pause the video and then continue forward. Okay, so let's just get rid of this one, get rid of this one. This is the PyCharm environment that I created before, but how to create one, the video is already on the playlist. All I did was I created a project that contains that particular file, which is the Excel file itself, insurance CSV, and this main file which we're working just right now. To start that, these are called comments, like this is a portfolio project that I chose for this particular series, and we'll try to add all necessary details, but the playlist is given there where you can have a quick access to every single concept that we'll be covering today. And also this is where the dataset is. You can, which I strongly urge you to follow this particular dataset. Once you have done that, then you're free to do anything you would like. The dataset contains these columns just so that I have an idea of what I'm working on. So this is basically just an introduction of that. Ready? Okay, let's get started. What is the first thing that you think we should do? The first thing that anybody would like to do is have that particular file open up in this IDE, which is the Python environment, right? Now, Excel files are stored at CSV files, right? And if you remember, CSV files were comma separated values, right? Now, if you remember, we talked about this, that how do you actually import a CSV file in Python? That's right, we need a library called CSV. Now, I'm going through these concepts which are already covered. So if you're struggling with it, please refer back to the playlist. Once I have imported the CSV, how do I actually open that particular file? Before we proceed, let me just give a quick comment on there. Programming does not mean you remember every single line of code. So if you don't remember the syntax, that's fine. But as long as you know what particular syntax you're using or how to apply it, that's more than enough for programming. All I want you to do is be able to understand why we're doing certain things. So let's start here. If you remember, to open a CSV file, I had to do was with open, give that name of the file. What was the file name? Was it insurance CSV, right? Insurance CSV. And I want to give it a name. I want to maybe call it insurance data. Insurance data. Now, there are a lot of ways to actually read it now. I have opened the file, but to be able to show it in my print or console, I want to actually write another line of code. Maybe I want to print that particular insurance data. Oops. Insurance data and then dot read lines, or maybe read line just itself. Let's see how it works. There you go. So it read the very first line, which contains the title, remember? So if I run that again by copying another line of exactly the same one, do you see? So the first line contains the title, the second line contains the values. So the first age belongs to the first value 19, sex female, BMI 27.9, children 0, and so on and so forth, right? So you could actually do that, or you could read all the lines like this, read lines, and run that. You will notice that it read every single line separated by a comma, as the CSV file would be. This N means that it is a new line. So age all the way up till the charges, then /N means new line is started, for separated by comma, and then the values, and again new line, and so on and so forth, right? So we are on the right path, right? But what's the point of reading a lines if I can't do anything? Remember, I have to analyze it. So maybe I want to separate them out into age a separate one, BMI into separate one, but in the same order. So maybe I want to create a list of age, right? Let's say what I mean is I want maybe something like this. Age is equal to a list of 1 value, 2 value, and 3 value. And similarly, BMI with exactly the same number of lists in the same format, the first value in first, second value in second, third and third, and so on and so forth. Then I can simply see the very first person has this value and this value, the second person has this value and this value, the third, so on and so forth. You get an idea, right? Okay, so this is what it is. Now what do I want to do with that is I want to actually open that particular CSV file as a dictionary. Now, you remember what dictionary was? They were a pair of keys and their values. So you have age and then you have a value of 19. You have sex, a value of female. You have a BMI, a value of 29 point something, so on and so forth. That was dictionary, right? So to do that, what you wanted to do was you want to create a dictionary, maybe insurance dictionary. I can give it any name. You're free to choose there, right? I want to create a dictionary with CSV dot dictionary reader. I hope you remember that we covered it in the file. And then what particular data I want to read as a dictionary is this particular data here, insurance data, which is actually the file itself. So once I run that, you would be able to understand what I mean. So let's say I want to, for row or for every line, whatever you want to call it, for every line in insurance dictionary, print that particular line, right? Let me run that and see. Do you see here? It contains a line for every line, and every line is a dictionary. Do you see it is enclosed by this particular what do you call a bracket? I forgot the name of this particular bracket, but this is how dictionary are stored, right? It contains a key value. The key is age, the value is 61. The key is sex, value is female, and so on and so forth, all the way. The key is charges, and the value is this particular one. Okay, so far so good. I've read all of that as a dictionary, but that still does not help me, right? Because what I want is, I want all of this age to be in one list, all of sex into another list, BMI into another list, so that everyone is in order. To do that, I simply have to create an empty list called maybe ages for all the values, and an empty list here. Now, to fill that up, rather than reading every single line, maybe I want to just read the age values. So for that, for line in, not the whole data set, but just age. Let me print that out first so that you know what I mean. Oops, what did I do wrong? For row in this one, oops, yeah, sorry. So one, not here. So once I have read all that dictionary, here, line and age. Let me print that. There you go. So do you see? Now, rather than printing every single thing, it just printed me the values of the age, and I can do exactly the same for BMI now. And if I run that, it will notice everything is here. Same with every other ones, male, female, maybe region, and it's gonna print me here. Do you see here? So what I did was I stored every values in a dictionary right here, and then for every line in that dictionary I printed it out, not the whole line, but rather just the line belonging to region. And I can do that for every single attribute I have it here. But here is the case. Let me put comments as well, so you know. Create a dictionary of values, and then here I was reading every line of dictionary. Now here, rather than printing that age, I want to actually add it into my empty list. To do that, if you remember the list one, we talked about in list that you can actually append in list. So if I have ages and I do dot append, now what I'm appending on that list, I am actually for every value of age. So remember, when I printed it out, this particular values were every single value of age. Now I am appending that values into my empty list called ages. So if I run that, everything is run without error. So I can print it out here just to see, print ages. And there you go. Do you see? Now every single value of ages is in this particular list, and I can do exactly the same for every single one. So let's say sex is equals to empty list, and I can do exactly the same for sex dot append, and then line sex. Now rather than printing this one, let me print sex as well, and let's run that. Now do you see here, it created the first list of ages like we have it here. The second one is all the sex. Now I'm pretty sure, because I'm doing exactly the same thing for both of them, the first entity I had was a female belonging to age 19, and I can do exactly the same for every single attribute. Now there are two ways of doing it. One, you do it one by one like this, just like I did now. You can add it to maybe BMI is equals to empty list, and then you can just say BMI dot append, and then whatever line it was, and add it to BMI, and I can print it to have a look at it as well. Right, I'm doing exactly the same thing here, so print it out. So the first one is female belonging to age 19, and she actually has a BMI of 27.9. That's the first way of doing it, right? Nothing wrong with that. But remember, we also learned how to create a function. Now in function, we talk about function normally do these kind of things where there is a specific function and you have to keep repeating that particular function for a lot of values in here. So we are doing exactly the same. We are doing the same function for a lot of attributes. So why not create a function? So we can definitely do that. But before that, let me create empty list for all of them. Their BMIs, their sex is in there. What was the other one? There were children, right? Children is equals to empty list again. Maybe whether they are smoker or no is equals to empty list. Their region, was it, is equals to empty list. Oops. And then finally their insurance costs is equals to empty list, right? So this is what are the attributes that were in there. Just to double confirm, it was, yeah, it was age, it was their sex, their BMI, their children, smoker, region, yeah. So these were the ones that I want, and what I want with each list is exactly the same process. So how do I do that? Remember, we talked about to create a function, I have to define it by writing def and the name of the function. Now name of the function could be anything you choose. I want to maybe call it insurance data loader, because I'm literally loading the data set from insurance. You can call it anything you would like. Now before I give the parameters in that particular function, what were the things that were required to actually do it? I wanted the name of the file. In this case, even though it is the same one, but I'll still give as a parameter, because remember, whatever function you create, it has to be generic. So maybe I want to call it the insurance file, right? And then what was the second thing that I required? Once I opened that email, I created a dictionary, fine. And then for every line in that one, I appended it into that empty list. So I need that empty list. Let's call it a list. And what was the other thing I required? I required the name of the column, right? So these were the things that were required to fill that up, right? So once I have that with the parameters, what I'll do is I'll do exactly the same thing with open. Now this time I'm not gonna give a name of insurance .csv, because I want to create it as generic as possible. So I'll say insurance file, give the name of the insurance file here, and create it as insurance data. I can just do that, because remember, I'm gonna do exactly the same and remove this one. So first line is done. So the only difference between this and the manual method was, instead of giving the name of the file, I just created a generic one and said, give me the insurance name. So this line is done. The second one, I wanted to create a dictionary, and I'll do exactly the same here. I'm going to say insurance dictionary is equals to csv dot dictionary reader of insurance data. right? Exactly the same thing here. So let me remove that. So far we're doing exactly the same thing. The only thing difference was, instead of giving the insurance file name, I created a generic function and then doing that. Okay, this is where I want everything to be same, repeating over and over again. For line in, or maybe just call it something, for row in insurance dictionary. Now remember, here I used to give the name, the empty list here. So what is the empty list in my function is lst. So lst dot append, right? And then the column, the line, and then the column name, right? This is what I did. So rather than me writing the list name over and over again, I said I would provide you with some list, append that list with, not line, row, because I changed it to row now. So whatever row it is, the column name, in this case age itself. So the way it will work is, if I, let me show you an example and then tell you how it works. So once I have that, do you see I removed all of that by with just a small function here. So once I've done all of that, I'm going to say return me that list. Okay, so how do I actually work it out? I'm going to say insurance data loader. In that insurance file is this file itself, which is insurance CSV. And for the list this time, I'm going to say it is my list called ages. And with that column name, which I'm going to provide here, was the age itself. That was it, right? If I run that, it will return a list called this ages. Let me run that first. So no error. If I want to have a look at it, I'm going to just say print ages. And if I run that, you would notice it did exactly the same thing here. So far we're good, right? We not only learned how to read a file, but we also be able to clean our code as well. So before, do you remember, it was quite a lot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say empty list of all attributes here, and function to load each empty list with its required values or corresponding values. Now this is how I'm gonna do it with every other thing. So now all I have to do is basically copy that. How many I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. So one is already done, 6 more. 1, 2, 3, oops, 4, 5, 6. Now the second one was not ages, it was just sexes. Here's sex. I'm just gonna change their names to their corresponding values. Children. And what was the name of the file itself? It was children. Yeah, children. And the next was smoker, and here's smoker as well. This was regions, and was it region itself or region? Yeah. And then insurance cost. And then here it was, what was the name of the column, the last column? Charges. Charges, there you go. Okay, so do you see here how I'm able to actually do a lot of things quite quickly? What is it's just saying that I need to, the error it is giving me is saying you don't have enough spaces in there, but it's fine for now. So what I'm doing is I'm using this function over and over again Using the same file here, for every time I'm going to provide a different empty list, which is here, and for each empty list their corresponding column name. So it will do all of this process for every single time I'm running this particular line. So that's the whole point of using functions. Rather than me doing all of this over and over again, I created a function like that with just 5 lines, and then I can do it as many times as I want, right? There you go. It's just saying that they add 2 spaces before that, just so that it's neat and clean. Similarly with this one, it says expected 2 blank lines. Okay, 2 blank lines with here. Whoa, is it this one or maybe here? Yeah, there you go. Okay, so far we're good. We have actually updated our insurance data for each of those attributes. Now, to be able to see that, I can simply run it to see it out. Let's say if I want to print ages and maybe their insurance cost, let's run these two, and if I run that, you will notice that it created a list of this one, and if I am able to scroll it down, after that it create a list of their cost as well. To be able to see it, I can actually see this as well. The cost, and then insurance cost, and then run that. Just another way of visualizing it. Ages, the age, if I run that, there you go. The age are these ones, right? The list, the cost is this one, and you can actually see they are all in the same one. To be able to see whether they are actually the same or no, we can actually do that length of this ages, right? And we can actually do length of insurance cost. You will notice that they're exactly the same. Well, they should be the same, otherwise we have done something wrong, because there you go. 1338 values of ages, 1338 values of the cost. This is quite an important one, because remember, we want these values to be the same, so that once I am trying to access, let's say if I'm trying to access let me show you what I mean. Let's say if I'm trying to access the 50th value of this one and the 50th value of this one, insurance costs with an S, there you go, run this. I am pretty sure that the 50th value of age 18 has an insurance cost of 2211. To double confirm, we can actually go here and go on to the 50th one, because remember Python starts on the one extra, so it would be actually 52, because the first, let me show you, the first values contains the title, not the values. So when I say 0, it will be this, 1 it will be this, and 2, so it is actually 2 ahead. So if I go on the 52 value, do you see here the age is 18 and the cost is 2211.1. So I'm in good track, right? So I have all the data set I need in the right format. They are all listed in those ones, those empty ones, right? So far we have able to get our data set in Python, and we are pretty sure that they contains these ones. So this is good. What do I do now is what I am trying to actually find it out. Maybe I want to find out the total age, or maybe what do I call average of ages, maybe how many unique regions there are, maybe how many males and females there are. Let's try with something we already know. I think it was roughly equal amount of male and female, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say, to be able to count those, that males are to start with 0 and female are to start with 0 again, right? And I'm going to say for sex in sexes, remember this is the list that contains it, right? Just so that you know what I'm talking about, I'm going to print each sex here and then tell you what I'm going to do with it. Print this one out. And so every value either is a male or a female, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to say if sex equals to male, male, add 1 to it, right? Plus n equals 1. Else if sex is equals to female, you should be comfortable with this one. We have covered this in our corresponding video. If not, please pause the video and refer back to the video so you can have a quick look at what we are doing. Plus n1 equals to 1 here. Now what I'm trying to do is here, I'm trying to access every single value in that sexes list. It contains either male or female. So what I said is, if it is a male, add 1 to this list counter. I created a counter here, right? Maybe I can write it here. Initialize a counter, and then I'm going to say add values to, or maybe update counter values, update counter values, right? Now once I have done that, I can actually print it out. Now let me print it out. Print male and print female, right? Let me run that here. So it says 676 are male, 662 are females, which is roughly the same. If I remember it, it was in the actual file, it said somewhere here 51% male and 49% female, which is roughly how it will be. We can actually have a quick look as well, because we're analyzing it, we're using Python, why not? So let's say I want to calculate the percentage, right? I'm gonna say print percentage of male, and to do that I'm gonna find their percentage. Now the percentage of male and male would be male over was it sum? I can do sum, right? Sum male, it's just two values, right? So I can simply do male plus female. Well, there are other ways of doing it, but let's just say I'm doing the long method. Enclose them into brackets and just times it by 100, right? Just a simple percentage, male over total male and female times by 100, and I can do exactly the same for female here. And instead of male over this, I'm gonna say female over that, and I'm gonna say female, right? Let's see how it works. There you go. Roughly 51% of that and 49% of that, which is exactly 51% that, 49% of that. So we are on the right track. We doing it. I can actually do this as well, and then maybe round it if I remember it correctly. I don't want a decimal, I want to round it off. So if I do that, round it and then run it to see if it works. There you go, 51 and this one, right? And I can add a percentage sign just so that I am being very clear about it. And am I missing it here? And there you go. Why is giving me there? run that. There you go. So it says 51% of this and this one, this, right? So we are able to do a lot of these things like that throughout. So what I did was just to analyze how many male and female are there. I did that particular thing. Now, like usual, we can actually create a function that does that as well. But before we do that, let's try one more thing, and then we're able to do those analysis using a function. Let's say I want to analyze an average of age. Average of age. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a total age, right? Another counter, and I'm going to assume it is starting with 0 for value in ages, right? And I'm going to show you what I mean. I'm going to print value just so that you know. Let me run that. So this is all the values we have, right, of ages. So to give it a total value, what I'm going to do is, rather than just printing it out, I'm going to say total age plus and equals value, and that should give me my final value. Let me print that out, my final value of total ages. Let me do that and see. It says unsported operands for percentage, integer, and string. Okay, that's fine. We can do another value. All it's saying is it's not an integer value, so I can convert it to integer value and do that. Let's try that now. There you go. So the total value of all the ages is this one. Now to calculate an average of it, I have to divide it by how many values I have, right? Remember, to calculate how many values you have in a list, I can simply do length of that list, right? So if I do this divided by length of ages, which is my actual list, it will actually do this value divided by how many values are in the actual list. So if I run that, you would notice it gives me an average value of ages 39 point something. To make it look more nicer, what I could do is, I don't know if you remember in our particular print one, we use something called format, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say average value of ages in our list is, and I'm going to give it a value here and dot format, and in that particular placeholder I'm going to say give an average, right? And because I haven't defined average, I'm going to define it here. Average is equals to total of age divided by length of ages, right? And that's it. Let me run that function now. Okay, so it says average value of ages on list is 39.2 something, and this is basically how we do it, right? We are analyzing our data set. Now I have more values in there. I can see that 51% of the males are in there, 49 in there, the average value is there. I can even see how many people smoke, how many people don't smoke. All of those values I can actually find it out using any of those functions, right? But remember, I don't want to create a messy code like this one. I want to create something as a function that anyone who wants to find something from it can quickly do it, right? To do that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a class. Now with that class, what it means is it will create the data set for each patient. Ready? So let's do that. If you I hope you do remember it. I'm gonna just say a line here just so that it separates out. Let's say I'm going to create a class. Now with that class, if you remember, it was the name of the class, and then we did something, define initialization of values, right, of self, and then we can create any functions in there as well. That was the whole syntax of it. But if you don't remember it, please refer back to the videos and then come back to it. why it is giving me here. It's just saying too many of this one. That's fine. I hate that. What if I have the same number of this one? Oh yeah, I didn't press this one. This should be okay. There you go. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create, let me go down. So I don't like seeing too many texts. Okay, call it OCD or something. I'm gonna create a class, right? And I'm gonna create a class with patient information. And then I'm gonna say that this patient information should contains different kind of things. But before I do that, remember I have to initialize all those parameters. So I'm going to say define initialization of not just self, because remember I have too many things now. I got their ages, their sexes and things like that. So what I'm going to say for each patient, I'm going to call their age, patient age, patient sex, patient BMI. I'm going to initialize these ones, right? And what was it called? Age, sex, BMI, and children, right? Patient number of children. And then I'm going to say whether they smoke or not, patient smoker. And I'm going to say patient, the region they belong to, and finally their cost, patient insurance cost. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do, right? And to initialize it, remember what I have to do is I have to actually do self dot whatever parameter I'm trying to initialize, which is patient age. I'm gonna make it equals to something I have to do to initialize it, right? I hope you do remember this one. If not, please refer back. And I'm gonna do exactly the same thing for all of them. Let me copy it rather than doing that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. So for the second one, it was this. For the third one, it was BMI. So I could just change the last 3, BMI. If I can spell it. This is the boring part, but this is important because we have to do it. So every time when I'm running this one, it is able to initialize this. Copy, and same with this one, and finally this one. There you go. So once I have initialized it, that's the basically a necessary part of doing class ones, right? It's saying line too long. How do we small it out? I don't like underlines. Can we small it? Should we call it patient cost maybe? That should work. As long as it is readable and it is understood, is fine. So let me do this cost, and then let me do this cost. Okay, come on. Oh, it's line to cost as okay, sorry. I can keep that one. So what he's trying to say is saying that one line is too big. We can actually do this. There you go. So I initialize it, and then for every of them I did self dot this one. Once I have initialized all of them, I can do anything I want right now. Let's do something that we have already done before, so you have an idea of what I'm talking about. Let's say the first thing what I did was count how many male and female are there, right? So I'm going to create a function or a method in a class. We call it method. I'm going to create a method to count number of males and females. So the next time I don't have to redo everything. I can just simply run that function. So I'm going to define what's this called, sex analysis we call it. And I'm gonna, remember in class you have to self-define it, so every time it's gonna refer it to itself and then initialize those parameters. Again, I'm gonna do exactly the same thing. I'm gonna initialize my counter, my counters, and I'm gonna call it 1 2 3 4, male equals to 0, female equals to 0. And this time the only thing is for sex in, rather than calling it sex now, I'm gonna call it patient and what's this called, was it sex, patient, sex, yeah, there you go. Because remember, every time I'm gonna refer this class, I'm gonna initialize that class with this one, with this particular name, which is patient sex. So far it's saying it's not defined yet, that because we haven't actually run it. That's fine, we'll see later on how it works. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna say for this one, then I'm gonna do exactly the same thing which I did before. I'm gonna say if sex is equals to male, then update my counter of male as plus n equals to 1. Else if sex is equals to female, then update my female counter as 1. Once you have done that, then just simply print out, print number of males are this, I'm gonna place a holder, and number of females are this, just so that my code is more nicer and readable. The first one I'm gonna give it male, male, and the second one as female. Okay, so if I'm gonna run it, let's see if I get any error. So far no error. To actually visualize this one of how it actually works, let me create a quick instance of class. So my class is called patient information, right? I'm gonna say, remember, I can create as many as I want, so I can create one of them as patient info with patient information, and then here I can give all the values. The first one was, remember my initialization one, where is that initialization? Here, the first one was age, then sex, BMI, number of children. So I'm going to give them those exactly the same things which I defined it before. It was ages, it was sexes, and then it was BMIs, and then it was children, and then it was smoker, and then it was it regions, and then finally it was their cost. Was it, what was it, what name did I give? That's the thing, I keep forgetting the names I give. So it was ages, sexes, BMI, children, smoker, regions, and then finally insurance cost, regions, and finally insurance cost. Okay, so once I have done that, I'm gonna run it, right? Again, no error. Now if I want to analyze patient info dot what was the first method that I defined? I defined their sex analysis, right? If I do that and I actually run that one, you would notice, ooh, patient info, yeah, patient sex is not defined. Patient sex, where did I do that? It says that I have not defined patient sex in this one, patient and sex. I did define it here, so what's the problem with this one? Did I spell it wrong? Oh, it is asking me to refer it to as a self, not this one. Because remember, whenever I'm trying to refer it back to the same one, I have to refer it. Do you see here? My patient sex is not patient sex anymore. It's self.patient sex. So I forgot to write self here. Perfect. Okay, that's fine. If I run this now, do you see here? Number of males are 676 and number of females are this one. So now I can do exactly the same thing for all of them without needing to be worried about redefining my method over and over again. I defined this one first times. Now I can give any different kind of list here, and it will automatically calculate the number of males and females in that. So this is only one time hustle. Once you do that, it does it for you. This is good now. Why this is giving me red? I've already defined it. Yeah. Okay, so I've already done that, right? So it is asking me too many blank lines. Yeah, I know. Okay, so 2 lines here, too many blank lines. Yeah, I don't need blank lines here. Should be okay. There you go. Why there are too many lines? Expected when black line. There you go. Okay, should be okay. And there you go. Come on. It says expected 1 blank line. There you go. And what about this one? Too many blank lines. Okay, there you go. There you go. Okay. Something I don't like. Okay, so I hope you understand it, right? This is something I initialized my parameters with the class. It was their age, things like that, and I refer it to self itself, right? So whenever I'm trying to referring it, do you see here? I'm referring to the self, which is here, and at this time I'm just using my patient sex, which is actual patient sex given here, right? So all it is was discussed in the video. I'm just using them now. Now I could actually use that for all kind of analysis that I want. What if I want to analyze now? Let's do that here. This time I want to analyze their age. So we already did that, right? We did age analysis, and again I'm going to refer it to the self, and I'm going to say initialize total age counter, and I'm going to say that the total age is equals to 0, and I'm going to say for every value in ages, not just ages. Now see, I was making the same mistake. Self dot patient, patient ages. There you go. Now I am assessing this particular age from self, which is here, right? And this is being defined when I'm defining my class here, which belongs to that empty list that I started at here. So once I change this ages, it will change the age here, which will change the age here, which will change the age here, and which will change the age here. So my function remains going to be the same. Any data it comes, anything I can change the data set. Rather than insurance, I can change anything and it will calculate that for me. So for this one, I'm going to say total age added to integer value of that value itself. And once you do that, I'm going to create another value, which is particularly a number of entities is equals to length of self dot patient age. So it's just going to find the number of entities. Now I can actually print it out. Print total number of patients in the data are the value, and the average of ages is this placeholder, and I'm gonna create format. The first value would be total number of entities, and the second value would be their average. Now to calculate an average, I need the value here. Average is equals to total age over number of entries. Average. How did you spell the average? How can I forget average? There you go. Okay. There you go. There you go. It is asking me the line is too long. That's fine. Let me create. Okay. The line is short now. So far, what I did was, I'm going to use the same class here. Do you see here? I'm going to use the same class, but this time, what I'm going to do, rather than just giving it sex analysis, I'm going to say give me is age analysis as well. So patient info dot age analysis. If I run that, there you go. Total number of patient in the data are this much, and the average of age is this much, right? So far we're doing something good. I can do all sort of things in here. It is asking me, I think, one space here, and then maybe one space here. Is that what it is? Or there you go. Come on. Blank comment should, yeah. There you go. Okay. So what I could do potentially, remember I did the percentages as well. So to calculate the percentages, I can again create number of entities in here and then calculate the percentage. So let's say I'm going to create number of total patients, right? And that would be simply length of self dot patients sex, whatever it is, and then I'm going to say the percentage of this one is print percentage of males is first placeholder, and percentage of females is with the percentage sign as well, and I'm gonna give them format male percentage, and then female percentage. I need to define them, right? I could define them here, right? Male percentage is equals to male over total patients and times it by 100, and I'm gonna round it off, so it's an easy one. I did that previously, so that's why I'm quickly doing it, and I'm gonna do exactly the same for female. Female percentage is equals to female this. Okay, looks all right. Let's run it out. So there you go. Number of males are this and this. Percentage of males is 51. Percentage of female is this. Total number of patients are this. Average of the age is this. So far so good. Okay, now we have already done that. Let's say what else do we want? Maybe we want to find a unique number of regions. Let's open up our data set. Maybe I want to find out what should I find out? Maybe I want to find out how many people belong to Southwest, how many, like what are unique regions, maybe the average of the charges. These, I can do a lot of things to be here. it's up to you. Now you play with it. I'm just going to create one more before I start with it. So let me quickly do unique regions. Maybe if I want to find the average of the cost, I can actually use this method of mine, age one. So let me actually first sum it up. Method to calculate average of ages, right? And I can actually copy this whole method and do some bit of changes for average of cost. So method to calculate average of insurance cost. So rather than calling it age analysis, I'm going to call it cost analysis. Total age, instead of total age, I'm going to call it total cost. I'm doing exactly the same thing, but rather than on age, I'm going to do on the insurance cost. So number of entities would be similarly insurance cost, and then for value in not patient age but rather patient insurance cost, and total cost will be that value, and the average will be total of cost divided by number of entities. Total number of patients in the data are this, and the average of cost is this. Okay, let's run that. Patient info dot cost analysis. Let me run that and see. Ooh, it says total cost integer. Oh yeah, because it's a decimal number anyway, so I can't convert it to it. So I can simply do not integer but rather a value, because remember in our actual data set I needed to do the age one because it was stored as a value to convert them to integers, but the charge itself is a float number, so that's why it was problematic here. I need to, rather than giving it integer, I need to convert it to not convert it, give it as a float number. Okay, so let's run that. There you go. So the total number of the data are this much and the average of the cost is this much. Okay, that was pretty straightforward and quick. I'm going to do one more before we wrap up the project, is maybe find out how many unique regions are there. So to do that, let's define another method. Method to find unique regions, and I'm gonna actually define my region analysis. You can name it anything, I just want to be consistent. So I'm gonna call it self. It was already written there. Okay, and then I'm gonna say maybe I'm gonna call initialize my unique counter. Now remember, these are the counters, so I can't actually start with the 0 or 1 because that does not make sense. I'm gonna just say how many unique regions are there. So I'm gonna actually create a list. Unique regions is equals to empty list, and then I'm gonna say for every region in self dot region, patient region, and if the region which you just find out not in my unique regions, like what I'm doing is I'm calculating every value from my region. So it's gonna create, maybe the first value is southwest, right? So then it's gonna say southwest. If that southwest is not in unique region, which won't be because it's an empty value right now, I'm gonna say append that unique region dot append that particular region, right? And then finally, once you do that, just return that unique regions. So what it is doing basically here is it's gonna like this. Let me show you here. So it's going to go the first value southwest, and then it's going to say if southwest not in unique region, which is not, it's going to write southwest here. The second value is east southeast. Continue going to do that until it reaches southwest again. Maybe let's say it is southwest here. So once it is at this point, it will say southwest. Now not in unique region, that's not true, because remember in the first one it has already put southwest here, so it will ignore that and then continue with the next value until all the unique values are in there. To have a look at it, I'm going to do patient info dot region analysis. Where is that? There you go. And if I'm going to run that, okay, so I need to print it out, right? Because it is returning a list, but I need to actually print it out to actually see that. It should have done it, but let's see. Print maybe. Yeah, there you go. It requires a print south. Do you see all the unique values in there? Not repeatedly, but all the unique values in there. I'm just trying to see that it should have done it itself and return it. Okay, anyhow, once I have that, once I have all the information, I want to actually create maybe something that contains the dictionary, a dictionary for every single patient. How do I do that? Now to do that, all I want to do is create my, you understand what I'm trying to do, right? I'm trying to create a dictionary that contains every single value, something which we started at the very beginning to read it. I'm gonna create it again with our values. So let me just do that. A method to create a dictionary of each patient, right? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna say define create dictionary for the patient, right? And I'm gonna start with an empty one, right? Initialize an empty dictionary. For that, I'm gonna do an empty dictionary called self dot patient dictionary is equals to an empty dictionary here. Okay, so I have created an empty one. Now I need to just fill it up, right? To fill it up, I'm gonna do self dot patient age, and not starting with the patient, the dictionary itself. I'm gonna give a key value. Now what is the key value? The key value is age. Remember, the first thing was age. And where is that key value stored? It is basically stored the age base, the list of the ages, right? Let me create something which is easy first, then I'm going to show you here. Maybe I'm going to create for sex, and then patient, remember I'm in the class, so I need to do patient dot sex, because the sex is already in there, right? And then I'm gonna say, just to have a look first that it worked fine, return self dot patient dictionary. So what I'm doing is basically creating a dictionary, right? And then what it is saying, an instant it required. No, it is not, because I'm creating it inside this one. So let me run it first to see if it gives me an error. If I run that, and let me print it out as well. Patient info dot dictionary, patient dictionary, and let me oh, not patient, create dictionary. I did create dictionary. Let me run it and let me print it out as well, because I'm returning the function, so I need to print out to actually see the results. It's saying, yeah, I got an extra one. Is that what you're saying? Like this. Yep. Yeah. So here it is. It contains sex and then all the values of the sex, male, female, for all of them, right? So what I'm doing is I'm actually trying to create a dictionary that contains age and the whole list of age, sex, whole list of sex in that same order, right? So this is why I'm trying to create a dictionary for it. So what I'm going to do is, the only thing with this one is I'm going to copy paste myself, so that is easy. Control C, just so that we know we're doing two separate things. I'm going to create another line. 1 2 3 4 5 and 6. So the second one was BMI, and for the BMI I need the BMI of this one, and the third one was what was this called? Children, sex dot children, and the third one was smoker, and it was smoker, and the other one was region, and here I want the region as well. The next one is charges, and here was the insurance cost as well, and lastly was age, and let's call their age as well. We can change the sequence of it, but just seeing if it works. Let's see. So it contains the sex. If I keep going, scrolling down, once the sex is finished, there you go. So just here, there you go. So before the number starts, it contains BMI and then so on and so forth. Then I can simply access different kind of things. So if I have this dictionary, I can actually see their information like I started with. So remember when I started with, I told you that I need to create it as a dictionary. Where is it? I can create it as a dictionary here. So once I create it as a dictionary, I can work on that separately. So towards the end, I did exactly the same. I created a dictionary in my class, so I can work on my dataset over and over again. You can or you don't have to, but it's just one quick way of finalizing this one. Let me write it down here. Let me finish. Try to make it more nicer. Okay, ignore that, and then this one, 2 blank lines. There you go. And what if I don't want this one? Okay, so I think we have done quite a lot. So let me quickly wrap it up, and then you can work on this one. For your task is, can you please try to work out maybe the average of the children. Again, remember you have to round it off. Maybe the average or the highest of BMI, the lowest of the BMI. The things are endless. You can have a look at it and see which information would be more appropriate to do it, and create a method in that particular one. But so far, this is what our project looks like. What do you have imagined when you started it to create so many things? Not really, is it? Because what you did was you created an empty list first, then you filled all those empty lists with the relevant details using that CSV file, and then you updated that class every time with a different method. At first you wanted to find out how many percentage of male or female were there, then you find out what was the average of the age, what was the average of the cost of those insurance. you wanted to actually find out the unique number of regions. Here you can create as many methods as you want. Let's not create that dictionary. I'm not really happy with that. Let's ignore that. Yeah. Let me empty those ones. There you go. And then if you run it, you can actually see that that you have all those information here. You can try to make them into one method if you like. The best part of this one is once you have done that, it is such a small code, right? You can actually create as many data set here as well. You can even have a new one, a new CSV file with different values, right? Remember, this insurance file you could have for multiple companies. You can create all those insurance files. All you would have to do is name that insurance file, put that into the same folder here, and then just change this particular insurance file name here. So instead of insurance CSV, you could do insurance one or things like that, and it will automatically calculate every single value for you. So that's the whole point of using Python, that you can get all of these information here by just changing the name of the file. The last thing to change here is maybe rather than returning it, I can actually print it as well, right? I can say print unique regions are, and then dot format, just so that it look nice like the other ones. And I don't have to print it because I'm already using a print function. And let's run it. Unique regions are this, just so that it's more appropriate to read, right? And then yeah, that's it. That's pretty much is how you actually analyze. You can do a lot more. This was just, I think I've done quite enough, and the time is quite long as well, just so that you have an idea of what you could potentially do with the data set. You can find a lot of things. You can do a lot of methods here, and this would be a very generic one where you can actually import other insurance files as well and then do it. So please let me know how did it go in your comment section, and let me know what did you learn or what did you find struggling with, so we can discuss that as well. But yeah, well done on doing your first Python project in Python, and please give me feedback so we can do the remaining things together. Till then, take very good care of yourself, and goodbye.